Awesome. Just what's your name and what's your company?
I'm Zach. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Fixie.ai.
And what does Fixie AI do?
We're a platform for building conversational AI systems. And so with like literally from no code to kind of full code control. Yeah.
And so what is the realm of conversational AI currently? I mean, I understand a few things. There's LLMs, there's like natural language processing. You were just talking about RAG and retrievable data. Where does, like, if you could explain some of your core products, use cases, and what your target market is, I would love to understand a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think like one of the foundational technologies these days that people talk about is RAG, like retrieval augmented generation.
And what is that?
Which is just a fancy way of saying like, I have my data that the model doesn't know about. How do I use that get that data so that the model can answer questions about it, or do synthesis or summarization? And so to do that, there's like a lot of work that you have to like somehow get that data that the model doesn't know about to a state that the model does know about. And so we've got a bunch of pipelines and systems to make that really easy and fast. And so that's what RAG is basically. So then when you ask a model, what is Fixie? It's not answering from its internal knowledge base, it's answering from the data that you give it.
From the data that you provide, okay.
Exactly.
And so what are you seeing are the main use cases that have emerged on top of Fixie for this conversational use case?
I think document question and answering is like the number one use case.
Like developer documentation?
No, just in general document question and answering. Like, we're a B2B platform where businesses are trying to build these conversational systems to answer questions or help their users, or like B2B SaaS apps want to embed directly alongside the SaaS app to answer questions. That's what people use us for mostly.
That's awesome. And like, how long has the company been around for, and how big is the team, and what are your biggest goals sort of going forward here?
Yeah, so we're about a little over a year old. We started back in summer of last year, and we're about 10 people right now. I think our goal right now is to, I would say number one is like it's like the best RAG system basically that you can get. And number two is we're really excited by these like live, real-time voice conversations that we also enable.
Where do you see the future of voice conversational AI sort of going? Where do you see it now, and where do you see it in the next 3 to 5 years? And where does Fixie's place sort of be in that?
I think we're trying to get to a point where it feels like talking with these large language models or these agents feels just as intuitive, as natural as this conversation does, right? So we have built-in pauses, like we know when and how we're going to interrupt each other, we know how to be patient and have real-time dialogue. I think where it is right now, I think is Justin here actually has figured out he's built the first version for us that is incredibly like low latency, feels real time, but there's still some challenges there about getting to what feels natural, and so like, in humans we like to interrupt each other a little bit, and there's like these codes of behavior. And so I think next is, we're going to be exploring some specialized model building. But you want to talk about it?
I mean, you saw OpenAI at their talk yesterday talking about 2024 as a year of multimodal.
Right.
And like we, and entirely agree. Like we think that like right now we're sort of stuck in the era of, really command line, interfaces to chatbots essentially, where you type in text and you get back text.
Right.
And you kind of need to know the magic incantations sometimes. And as Zach said, the way that we're interacting now, which is kind of like a high bandwidth conversation, we choose to use voice, and so I think we're going to talk to our future AIs, our artificial intelligences, the same way we talk to natural intelligence. In other words, human intelligence.
That's awesome. And what's your role at the company, and where do you see the direction that you're building right now? Are there a few different approaches to conversational AI, and are you taking a certain direction, whereas a few other companies are taking another direction? I'd love to get an understanding of what the general sort of approaches are to attacking this problem.
So I'm Justin, I'm the CTO here, and I think that Zach talked about RAG, and you see our RAGs that we offer. RAG swag.
We have RAG swag.
I mean, you couldn't go into a single talk practically here at the event today without hearing about RAG and how important it is to getting good quality results. And that's the kind of thing we really think is that these models, they're really good at dialogue and some reasoning. But they need to be grounded on facts, and the way you ground them on facts is by having your data brought into the RAG system as a way that the model can basically be given the information it needs in real time, quickly, to give the factually grounded, correct source of truth answers. So we're building that, as Zach said. We're building the API that we can do, then conversational chatbots and stuff on top of that. And finally, we're building what we see as like the first low latency, really voice conversational systems that will then be also grounded on data in the same way that then people will start turning to as their way they interact with data systems.
That's awesome. Going back to you then, just to wrap things up, what are your typical clients or type, like your ideal customer type, and where do you see them using Pixie?
I think we have two. I think a number of our customers are, I would say, B2B, larger enterprise customers. They don't necessarily have fully built out AI engineering teams. A lot of this stuff is really new to them. And they're trying to decide, do we need to build an entire team in-house to build from scratch pipelines for RAG? Do I need to go learn about what all this retrieval stuff means and how to chunk and the right way to do all this work? Or can I just take an existing solution and work with them to augment? I think that's one chunk of our users. And then I think the other one is we're also really interested in like the bottoms-up developer community. We have an open source, the entire Pixie is built on an open source repo called AIJSX. And so we also love like bottoms-up users who are just trying to build cool stuff. And so if you're interested in voice or real-time or low latency systems and how we can make these LLMs feel natural, then check us out.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.